Good afternoon. My presentation is Making the Problem Worse. It's about Springfield General Hospital. I'm your presenter, Perry Blend. The agenda for today is to address the need for change by giving an overview of the problem, using audience-appropriate explanation, present the steps planned change process, include explanation of the teams involved in the change process, using audience-appropriate explanations, present a sequenced implementation of new technology to solve the problem, demonstrate the use of techniques for mutual engagement to foster commitment to change, and incorporate an opportunity for each of them to ask questions. The need for change, overview of issues facing Springfield General Hospital. On Thanksgiving Day 2010, one of the prominent newspaper headlines was titled, "Hospitals Make No Headway in Curbing Errors." Study shows the article did not make encouraging reading. After 10 years of efforts designed to reduce hospital errors, the study found that the harm to patients was common and that the number of incidents did not decrease over the time period. This presentation will focus on Springfield General Hospital, the problem prescribing errors, confusion over drugs with similar names, inadequate attention to the synergic effects of multiple drugs and patient allergies, those and other related errors that are lumped together under the label adverse drug event kill or harm more than 77,000 patients annually in U.S. hospitals. From the standpoint of the Springfield General Hospital staff, the hospital staff lacked proper training in handling prescription drugs. The hospital decided to introduce new systems to correct the issues at the hospital without following or rather using the organizational change process. The hospital did not include the staff in the organizational change. Rather, they imposed the automated system on the staff. The new automated system, otherwise known as CPOE, complicated the matter more with increased errors than ever experienced before. Discontinuation failures and patient prescription mix-ups increased. How could this have happened? The steps of plan change process from the standpoint of Springfield General Hospital staff. It is important to point out that there are many methods to change processes. They can be placed within one or three broad categories, such as turnaround tools and techniques and transformation. Turnaround is an attempt to improve the immediate financial position of an organization by focusing on the income statement and the balance sheet. Techniques and tools is an organizational process, mechanics, and other interactions intended to produce a product or service, whereas transformation is an intervention designed to alter patterns of employee behavior. Behaviors involve how employees conduct themselves at work, what they do, and how they do it, how much effort they bring to the roles, and how committed they are to achieving desired outcomes. The reason sustainability of new behaviors matters can be stated simply. The ways in which employees conduct themselves significantly impact the organization's bottom line performance. From the standpoint of the Springfield General Hospital managers, the hospital managers lacked proper understanding of how to implement organizational change processes and the handling of prescription drug errors. The hospital decided to introduce new systems to correct the issues at the hospital without following or rather using the organizational change processes necessary. The hospital managers did not include the staff in the organizational change. Rather, they imposed the automated system on the staff. The new automated system, otherwise known as CPOE, complicated the matter more with increased errors than ever expected before. Discontinuation failures and patient prescription mix-up. How could this have happened? This happened because no one bothered to take the necessary steps in implementing change. Recognizing the need to change is important, of course, but it's just a first step. Next comes change implementation, the actions taken by organizational leaders in order to support strategic renewal and achieve outstanding performance. Steps of planned change process. What went wrong? Now, the executive management of Springfield General did not include the staff in the organizational change process. The change was solely based on the assumption that with introduction of computerized system, the prescription drug mismanagement would be fixed. Wrong. Let's take a closer look with the use of Lewin's change model. Lewin's change model encompasses three stages: unfreezing, moving, and freezing. Unfreezing is the stage where the stakeholders are not happy with the current state of affairs in the organization. Kicking off change implementation with shared diagnosis builds both dissatisfaction with the status quo and a commitment to enact new behaviors. Change demands the buy-ins of employees at all different levels of the organizational chain of command. This was absent in the Springwich General Hospital. Moving is the stage where the organization stakeholders change their behavioral patterns. Internal training can be used in this stage to effectively impact change process when it aligns with participative process of remodeling employees' roles, their responsibilities, and employee relations. In order to be committed to a new behavior, there must be a desire to learning the necessary skills needed for such behaviors. While refreezing is the stage where the organizational stakeholders establish and adopt a new set of norms. This is the stage where the Spring General could have introduced the automated system known as computerized physician order entry, which would have aligned perfectly with employee newfound behaviors. Teams involved in the change process. The teams involved in the change process at Springfield General Hospital were the solution administrators who blatantly ignored and not fully finding the root causes of the issue and inputs of the staff. The levels of differentiation need to be matched by appropriate levels of integration. Use our integration to enable the organization to attain efficient operations among different functions, departments, and units. In this case, it was absent. High employee commitment has the potential of enhancing organizational performance by improving productivity, creativity, collaboration, and willingness to change. From the early stages of the organizational change project, it is imperative that teams are buffered from traditional hierarchical power and are allowed to work across functions. Teams succeed or fail in the organization based not just on the efforts of team members but on the overall design and context of the organization, which must support and reinforce joint effort. Teams involved in the change process. The managers at Springfield General will fail to do the following. The resistance or acceptance of change depends mainly on how the change is implemented. Managers do not set out to create resistance, of course, but do just the opposite. They believe that the proposed changes are being made for the good of the company and that employees will accept the need for change. Wrong. Participation is the change process is the best way to build support and overcome resistance to change. But remember, it is no guarantee. Employee resistance can offer leaders the opportunity to run. The difficult challenge for managers then becomes how and when to engage employees in the process of diagnosis, problem solving, and planning for change. There comes a point in the change process where employee resistance will need to be addressed and overcome. Transformational change seeks to motivate employees to change their behaviors, not to force, coerce, or trick them into changing. Sequence implementation of new technology to solve the problem. The use of new technology to automate existing processes essentially leaves the status quo in place, which was exactly the case at the Springfield General Hospital. The issue became worse than it was. When employees participate in the design and implementation of new technology, they are more likely to alter their behaviors in ways that will help ensure effectiveness. Most employees, whether in high or low tech companies, in manufacturing or services, or in small or large organizations, have experienced the impact of new technology. Advances in computers and connectivity in particular have revolutionized use of information. When introducing new technology, organization leaders face a choice to use that technology to automate existing processes or to use new technology to support transform behaviors. Some executives resist the transforming strategy for fear of losing control or disrupting required discipline. Sequencing the new technology in the change implementation. No one question that new technology can have a powerful transformative impact on the manner in which work is conducted, becoming a vital contributor to the outstanding performance. The question is, how will the new technology be introduced and when will they be added to the mix? Effective change implementation calls on new technology to enable and reinforce new behaviors. New technology can be introduced as a way to support desired behavioral changes. The impact of incentive and technology changes coming too early in the implementation process runs an even greater risk. Leaders run the risk not just of failing to alter long-term patterns of behavior, but altering patterns of behavior in an unintended, even unwelcome way. Mutual engagement. Effective change starts with action, not solution. The most effective change implementation starts with a diagnosis that is shared by many employees at multiple organizational levels. Mutual engagement helps build commitment to change process among those who participate. Lack of mutual engagement or holding an honest conversation among employees about what needed to change, why, and how leads to low levels of employee commitment. When diagnosis is combined with mutual engagement, it is designed to create deep and wide commitment to the desired outcome. Mutual engagement in diagnosis helps build motivation on the part of employees to alter their behaviors. In addition to generating learning, mutual engagement is shared diagnosis can create a consensus among employees, not just about what needs to be changed, but also how to bring about that change. Mutual engagement continued diagnostic framework is a roadmap to analyzing alignment that makes explicit both the key elements of an organization that need to be aligned and the interconnections and interdependencies among those elements. In order to set the stage for effective implementation, diagnosis can do more than target specific elements of the organization, it can focus on the entire organization. The mutual engagement that forms the core of an effective change implementation effort starts at the diagnostic level or step. Employees can have the opportunity to engage in a dialogue that focuses on performance and the impediments and barriers to achieving an organizational strategic goals. Mutual engagement can be enhanced when top management feeds back to employees what it has learned from the diagnostic process and uses what that feedback as an opportunity to generate more learning. Closing the feedback loop, we work to keep mutual engagement continuous during the change process. Conclusion. Not all employees will greet change efforts with equal enthusiasm. Employee resistance arises from a number of sources, some internal to individual employees and other externally located in the implementation process of change leaders. By allowing employees to participate in the formulation of change plans, however, leaders will increase employee ownership over and support for those efforts. Effective change will always require attention to employee behaviors, patterns of action and interaction, no less than financial and technical effectiveness. Staff training was absent in the Springfield General case study, which was significant in the organizational change process and employee involvement. The use of new technology would have made the completion of tasks much easier. Thank you for watching this presentation and have a blessed day.